On the eve of the Scottish Premiership season, Brendan Rodgers just dropped a bombshell out his Gucci bag. Welcome back to Fog Football. We are here to discuss Brendan Rodgers' explosive pipe bomb. Today, in the press conference, is 5-0 in doubt? Is Brendan Rodgers leaving? Can he put the slippers on? Can he get the kettle on? Leave it in there.
Brendan Rodgers dropping pipe bombs, and I can't wait until Brendan Rodgers drops points, because then it's going to be the Celtic fans dropping pipe bombs on the board. It's going to be a great season. 2019-20 all over.
Aye, that's it. That's, well, 2020, 21.
Oh, was it?
I mean, Rodgers did leave in, 18, 19. You were a few years out. The COVID year. Remember the year your wee team got
that one.
took down for you? That was 19,
yeah,
20.
that was an absolute... That was a screw job. You thought Montreal was bad? Holy crap. Imagine getting relegated via Zoom when you've still got like 7 games to go. I mean, come on.
It's no right, isn't it, though? Definitely no right. But we'll speak about Celtic's summer transfer window.
It's not like we were like double digits behind, you know. We would have made that up. But...
Aye, potentially, but what do you make of Celtic's summer transfer window?
It's been garbage, man. Brendan Rodgers is right to call this out. Now, I think he should leave over it. Probably not, but why doesn't he just say to the board, look, we've got the money, we're selling players, I want to use that money that we sold Kuhn to bring players in. So instead of taking digs at them, why not just say this behind closed doors? I don't think this is good for the club. I can understand
airing your dirty laundry.
Yeah, I can understand Rodgers being frustrated and upset with the lack of activity, because I mean, we've all said that the activity's been poor. I think if you compare both Glasgow clubs, Rangers have had a much better transfer window. Even though I'm not convinced Rangers have signed good players, at least they've made signings, at least they've spent a bit of money. Celtic have pretty much done nothing. And I can understand why Rodgers is upset, especially after having all this money in the bank. Look how many players they've sold for big money in previous seasons. They've just sold Kuhn for another good chunk of cash this season, and how much of that Kuhn money has been spent on players. They're bringing in, they're scraping the barrel for players. Doesn't mean they can't be good. Just because we don't know much about Shin Yarama doesn't mean that he's not as good as Kyogo. He might very well be. Benjamin Nygren might be better than Kuhn. He could be, but they might not be. And sooner or later, if you keep signing players at like 1 million, 1.5 million, 2 million, you're not going to get great players all the time. Sooner or later, you're going to get someone who's just at that level.
Yeah, you're going to get...
Celtic are not going to continue. You can't keep buying players at like a couple of million and selling them on for 15, 20. Sooner or later, your luck's going to run out.
Sooner or later, I'm going to hunt you down. But Brendan Rodgers was asked about a contract extension. He said the following.
He will never sign a contract, by the way. Just putting that out there. Why would he? Right? He's been a man of his word. He will stay this year. Say he does sign a contract extension and then 6 months later he gets offered a job. Do you think fans are going to be like, well, at least he agreed to his original 3 year? The only thing they're going to focus on is the fact that he's leaving either way. So it doesn't make any sense to me. I think Rodgers has came for the 3 years. He'll do his time. He'll do the crime and then he'll leave.
That's what he had to say though, and I quote, "There's no further update. When I first came back, I said I'd do 3 years minimum, and people had me at the door at the end of last season. I said then, like I'll say now, there's nowhere to go. I love being here. I've done 2 years. I've got 1 more to go." Dermot, Michael, and I had a conversation over the summer on where we were at, and I said, we're very happy here. There's conditions we want to be able to improve, because I'm not the type of manager that's good at maintaining anything. If there's just something to maintain, I'm not the manager for Celtic. But to build, grow, develop, and push, then of course, I love being at Celtic. End of quote. So, Brendan Rodgers essentially saying that here, I don't want to be a yes man. I'll never be a yes man. I'm not that kind of guy. I'm not the man for Celtic if that's what we're doing. But if we want to build, if we want to grow, if we want to develop, we want to push, then of course, I'll love being at Celtic.
Which basically translates into sort this out or I'm going.
Yeah, Brendan Rodgers.
If you back me and give me money, I'm willing to stay and try and build something. If you're just going to penny pinch, then I'm gone. That's it.
And the question is...
And it could be down to Rodgers just wanting to have another good crack at the Champions League. Because Celtic don't need to spend money, really, do they, to stay in top in Scotland? Especially, I don't think this season. I think Celtic are already the dominant force. But maybe Rodgers is looking at last season, the Champions League, and maybe he's thinking, that was great. We could go one step further. We had a bit more backing. Maybe he's looking at the sale of Kyogo and thinking, maybe if we had Kyogo for the Bayern Munich game. I think it could be more along those lines. I mean, he maybe had a taste of the new Champions League system. He probably liked it, and now he's thinking that he wants to replicate what they done last season, and they've just not really showed the ambition to do that, which they haven't, to be fair. Because you look at Celtic and you're thinking, you know, they could do with a couple of additions to the squad, and so far they just haven't made it. I mean, they've got weaker, really, if you think about it.
Yep, that's what Sutton said. That's what pretty much every kind of pundit said on Celtic. And Sutton did say earlier on his wee podcast with Boyd and Charlie Adam, I believe, basically that Rangers would be licking their lips. It's left the door slightly ajar, I tell you what.
I think this title race will be a lot closer than people think. I know some Celtic fans are expecting, well, we're not signing money, but we'll still cakewalk the league. I'm not convinced. I think it's going to be close.
Yeah, there's a lot of time to go, right? Say in the next month, maybe this wee pipe bomb for Brendan Rodgers is going to blow open the war chest, right? And Celtic are going to fucking spend some money. Then
take a sledgehammer to that padlock that's currently, occupying the...
Maybe I'll be bricking it, right? But right here, right now, as I said in my predictions video earlier on, check it out. I could not personally have asked Celtic to have a much worse window. Now, obviously, right, something could happen where they lose all their players.
Guys, Maida jumps it. He's like, I'm gone.
Yeah, like where they all just literally go, here, we're ripping up our contracts. We don't even care about the repercussions. You're going to have to play the B team next season, right? Obviously, some theoretically like that could happen. But in terms of who they've sold, like Kuhn, right, haven't replaced him. They haven't replaced Kyogo still either, right? And they've spent $3 million, for goodness sake, man. $3 million in this market is pish, especially for a team that's considered a Champions League team.
Yeah, free pocket change.
Right, look how much money Rangers have spent in comparison. I know people will turn around and say Rangers need to spend. Rangers absolutely need it to spend, right? Rangers can't be not spending money because the gap is for Rangers to close.
Do you remember a couple of months ago when the 49ers made that initial £20 million investment?
People laughed at it.
And that's that all you've got? All you've got is 20 million. That's not going to get you anywhere. You're not going to catch up to Celtic with 20 million. Even to a much smaller scale, people said the same thing about Hearts and Tony Bloom when he put £10 million into the club, and they're like, $10 million's not going to get you to win the league in 5 years. 10 million buys you one Celtic player. And like all these words are like, they're almost coming back to like bite these people, because like not only have Rangers spent a lot of that 20 million, not only have Hearts made a shitload of signings and spent a good chunk of that 10 million that Tony Bloom put in, Celtic have spent literally hee-haw and I mean, I haven't added up all the transfers like of the teams in the Premiership, but I mean, Celtic might not even be third.
We'll put it this way.
If you add up,
probably near enough spent the 20 million.
If you add up, what have Aberdeen spent? What have Hibernian spent? Can't be much less than what Celtic have spent. Celtic haven't spent anything. We're talking like
Celtic have made big profit. It's not like Hearts, Aberdeen, and Hibs have sold guys for decent money. They haven't really. And it's the same with Rangers. It's not like Rangers have spent 20 million, but Raskin and Igamani's been sold for like 40 combined.
Yeah, I know, but it was made to sound like here 20 million is nothing. Celtic will blow that out the window. Well, they haven't blown anything out the window yet.
But see, at the same time, right, as much as the window so far has not been good enough, I understand why they've not spent the money. Because, I mean, you've got...
Keep in mind, though, last season as well, they didn't really spend it till late.
No, they didn't.
The three big signings they brought in were...
But they had the Champions League guaranteed. But we're hearing Celtic fans today, right, on YouTube and on Twitter, right, or social media, they're all saying, here... They need to spend the money. It's not good enough. It's unacceptable. It'll be a meltdown soon. All that kind of talk, right? But then reiterating the fact that here we're still going to win the league. I'm not worried about that. Then can you not understand the Celtics board's need not to spend a shit ton of money? If you're not worried about Rangers, who, let's face it, folks, are the only team that's going to beat Celtic this year, unless something fucking magical happens, then why should the Celtic board be worried into spending more money?
Yeah, I mean, if you're just looking at the squad...
Like Brendan Rodgers is a good manager, right? And Celtic shouldn't want to lose him. But at the end of the day, when it comes to Celtic, would they rather get a yes man and probably still win the league? Or would they rather spend like 30 million and just keep Rodgers and still win the league? That's what you've got to look at it, though.
Yeah, I don't think Celtic should be spending a shitload of money just to try and keep Rodgers. If you don't...
But that's what it feels like. You're going to have... it's almost like Celtic are going to have to spend...
The reality is, right, Celtic don't really need to spend that much money. probably don't need to spend any money to remain the number one team in Scotland, but how much money would they need to spend to realistically increase their chances of going far in the Champions League? It's just a massive scale. You know, it's not like if Celtic spend 20 million, that can give you a much better chance in the Champions. The amount of money that you really need to spend to be competitive in the Champions League in terms of going far and potentially getting to like semis or quarters, I just don't think it's worth it in comparison to what you need to spend to win the league.
No, I totally agree.
It's like big clubs, like if Barcelona or Real Madrid or whatever, if they're spending a lot of money, not only is that helping them in the Champions League, it's also helping them domestically. But with Celtic, if they spend big money, it's pretty much just to improve in the Champions League. And how much money do you need to improve? Celtic could spend 50 million this season and do worse in the Champions League than they did last year. Like, there's no guarantee. I think the amount of money that Celtic would need to spend to become contenders in the Champions League, it's just too much.
No, I think, you know, the champion. I mean, we're talking. I mean, there's clubs in the Championship and Champions League, man, that have got like team values way over $1 billion. Celtic don't have that, and they don't have. I mean, yeah, we can talk about a war chest all we want, but see, 75 million in the Champions League, it's nothing. It's peanuts. See the teams that are actually going to compete for it. 75 million's nothing, man.
Especially if you don't spend it well.
I mean, look at the fucking Premier League. You get teams that finish like 14th spending 70 million on players.
And some of them aren't even good.
And some of them have never even been in Europe. So, it is what it is. But as for Rodgers, so you think he'll be away at the end of the season then?
100%. I think even if he wins the league, I think he'll go.
Big Brendan.
I just don't think he'll commit himself to another deal. Because if he does and he leaves, he's not going to get the credit. Not people aren't going to be like, oh, big Rodgers, fair play to him, he stayed for the 3 years. They're going to be like, oh, he left us again. That's what it's going to boil down to. So I think he'll do his 3 years and I think he'll walk.
Absolutely. Anyway, guys, we'll be back. Lot of
I wouldn't even be surprised if he tries to. I think he might try and arrange a position with a club for the summer. Like, not right now, like, but I think that he will start looking towards the end of this season.
How much of a struggle does that become, though, if they don't spend any money here and he stays and by January he's still behind Rangers? How much is that going to affect them, getting a new club? I think that's playing in the back of his mind. Here, I need back tier or else I might not get a move away.
It could be, because this is the last year, right? And he's done well. You know, he's won 2 doubles last season, Champions League, did okay, did alright. But you're right, because you're always kind of judged on your current form. And if he has a bad season this season, and if he loses the league to just Russell Martin, who was just in the door, and like this Rangers new era that is just getting started, if he loses, that's what's going to, that's what's going to be sticking in the memory. Here, could be a possibility. If he loses the league to Rangers and there becomes a Premiership job opening, maybe the teams would rather go with Russell Martin than Brendan Rodgers.
Maybe they would.
If Russell Martin beats him. Russell Martin could be competing for the same jobs Brendan Rodgers wants come the end of the season if he has a good season at Rangers and wins the league.
And that's what the magic of this season has in store, guys. We'll be here to cover it all. Big Brendan, bombshell, explosions, you name it. Later on the night, predictions, and then tomorrow, that's when it begins with Kelly Livy at 3, which is a wee bit soul destroying, but here, I'll be there.